Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. As promised, today we're going to be talking about support and resistance, and we are going to get back on the WeBull charts so we can actually see this on an actual chart and be able to kind of do some charting today via technical analysis to identify some key areas of support and resistance on an actual stock. But let's first define what support and resistance is. So, support is a price level at which traders expect the price of an asset to find significant buying interest, which leads to an increase in demand and potentially a reversal of the asset's price decline. On the other hand, resistance is a price level at which traders expect the price of an asset to encounter significant selling pressure, leading to an increase in supply and potentially a reverse of the asset's price increase. Support and resistance levels can be identified by looking at historical price data and identifying price levels at which the asset has had difficulty breaking through in the past. These levels can act as important indicators for traders or investors, as they can help to predict where the asset's price is likely to encounter buying or selling pressure in the future. So let's go ahead and break this down and take a look at a chart and see what this actually looks like. All right, guys, so we are back on WeBull and we have a clean chart. This is a chart of Apple where I'm on a weekly chart just so I can kind of show you guys some patterns that are going to be easy to see. It shows Apple because it's a very liquid stock, has a large market cap, and so there's a lot of buyers and sellers. It trades millions and millions of shares a day on the market. So we're going to go ahead and get started with, first of all, how do we actually plot support and resistance? And so we're going to use our drawing tools up here. And if you look over here up in the corner, this little pencil where it says, if you hover over it, it says drawings. Right now it's clicked, and so it's blue. If I click it again, it will turn gray, which means it's not checked. So if I click it again, you'll see these options pop up. We're actually going to be looking for the horizontal line, which is under this first column. There's other options under here. If you click on the arrow, we'll use trend lines and things like that as well. But right now, for the purpose of this video, we're going to be more so focused on horizontal lines. So when I click on horizontal lines, you'll see that another box over here pops up, which will allow me to change the color. It'll allow me to change the size or the thickness of the line. If I wanted to do like dotted lines versus solid lines, I could do that as well. So it's very customizable, guys, in regards to WeBull and how you can actually use the charts and plot your areas of support and resistance. So we're going to leave it as blue. Blue is my favorite color, so we'll leave it as blue. And as you can see, when I clicked on the chart, I actually clicked and now it drew a line. Fortunately, I do want to put a line up here, and this is going to be a line that's going to be for resistance. Now, we talked about the technical definitions of support and resistance just now, but let's just think about resistance as the ceiling of your house and support as the floor of your house, okay? And then all this action that's going to be in between is going to be the prices. So I just, at this point, clicked on the chart and made a horizontal line at this high, which has been the highest the stock has gone in this time frame that I'm on the weekly. So the high is at 181.88, and that's going to be plotted on the chart for you to easily see. And it hit it on July 7th, 2022. If we look down here at the dates. So it hit it on that date. And right now, the stock is trading at 154.50 if we look up at the corner here. So we've identified where our resistance is and where the stock has had a hard time breaking through, right? Okay, and as we can see, and then also I just want to point something out as well. If you look down in this area right here, you'll see that mostly all stock charts look like this because this is where the pandemic hit. And so there was a drop off of stocks, right around that March 2020 time frame. And so you'll see all these stocks doing this, but that's also, something where we can look in the past to kind of see what the stock did and where it's going now. And as you can see, after it did that, it found some type of support way down here, and it's been taken off ever since. So if I want to go all the way, let me click on the horizontal line again so I can get a new fresh one, and I will click here. Now, the wick came down further, I kind of like to use the bodies of the candles as my, levels versus the wicks because the wicks are kind of like outliers, if that makes sense. So we can see all the way down here at the pandemic or towards where the pandemic was kind of like bottoming out for stocks. We were down at a level of $55.72. So wow, look where Apple has gone from there. So you can see the potential, guys, as to how much money can be made in the stock market if you follow certain, rules and you're practicing risk management and having someone who's going to be able to maybe help you with education and things like that. But let me not get off track here. So, okay, so now we have a very high level of resistance and we have a very low level of support. But we need to figure out what's going on in the middle here because there's no way that we're going to wait for Apple to come all the way back down here. We hope it doesn't, especially if you're already invested in Apple. And then, we want to see how we're able to maximize where the price is now and where the price could potentially go. And we see that it's already gone to 181.88. So I want to find another level of support so that I can kind of see where buyers will step in if the price of the stock does decide to drop again. Where might we find a level where buyers will jump right in and say, nope, yep, I want to buy it here and push the stock price back up. So clicking on the horizontal drawing tool once again, I already have identified another level here. I can clearly see it on my chart here. I'm going to choose this area right in here. And the reason why I chose this area is because when we're identifying these levels of support and resistance, we want to make sure that we're showing points where it's been multiple times that the stock price has tried that price, attempted to pass through it, attempted to break through it, and either has failed or if it's failed, that's a good thing for support because we know that the buyers are stepping in, as in this situation right here. So looking back at the history, now I also want to say that support and resistance can be interchangeable when it comes to how they're viewed. So at one point, this line that I just drew was resistance. Back in history, before it climbed all the way up here, it was struggling to actually break this area. As you can see, it climbed, and around the 129, 130 area, it struggled, bounced right back down. That means support resistance was currently happening and sellers were stepping in to sell, drop the stock price back down to this 102, 103 level. Came trucking back up, didn't even make it all the way back up here. Sellers came pushing it back down. Came trucking back up, broke it a little bit, but it kind of this is what we call kind of like consolidation. Came on back down. Came back up and it's played around in this area once again. Sellers came in and dropped it back down. This time, though, right here, buyers came in and broke through resistance, what was then resistance, and now has made new highs. So a new high from this previous high here. And it came back down, but it never came back down to that area in this time frame and then shot up even more until it found some resistance at this next level here. So this is the point where we see resistance, which was resistance back here, turn into support here. Now we're kind of following along and kind of seeing where the stock is going. Now, eventually, looks like around June of 2022, it did come back to find out if this was going to still be a level of support. So the stock kind of what we call tested this level again. And sure enough, buyers stepped right back on in at this very level and shot the price back up. It came back to kind of retest again. Buyers came in, shot the price back up. This is a little bit of consolidation here. Again, came back to test this level again in January of this year. And buyers once again stepped right back up and brought it back up. Again, this is a weekly chart I'm looking at. So each candle represents 1 week. Okay. So at this point, we're looking at the stock and saying, okay, well, we found a level of support around this 129, let's call it 130 area. And let's also keep in mind that there is something called psychological levels of support and resistance. And they're typically at whole dollar. And if we're looking at like quarter, 50 cent, 75 cent intervals. So like say this price. So for instance, right now, the Apple stock closed on Friday at 154.50. So that 50 cents is a psychological level of support. It's kind of like the investor or the trader thinks in increments of a quarter, 50 cents, 75 cents is kind of like whole amounts, whole amounts that are that makes sense to them, if that makes sense. So it's a psychological, what they call psychological level of support and resistance levels at your areas that are whole dollars, 25 cent levels, 50 cent levels, and 75 cent levels. So just kind of keep that in mind. And as you can see, the stock does kind of follow that pattern a bit. Right now, we can even call this area right here potentially a level of intermediate or short resistance. Like I can draw another line here and say, okay. And we can move these around too, guys, just to let you know that. Easily to customize. But if I put one here, because as we saw the stock move up, we saw it kind of failed to pass here, came back down, and eventually, it did pass through. But there's also areas where it's testing, it's testing, it's testing, testing. It broke through here and came back to this next level. It's almost like stairs, right? So your stock is not going to move in a straight line. It's going to move up, it's going to move down, it's going to move up, it's going to move down, move up, then it's going to move down. But to know that it's in a bullish trend, it's making higher highs and higher lows, as you can see. And I can even draw a trend line to kind of make that more clear. If I take it from the bottom of this low here and kind of draw it, we can do this. It's a couple ways we can do this, but let's just do it from here. We can see that it's kind of pretty much respecting this trend line as well. It broke it here, but then it found its support at the previous support that we just identified. And so this is where technical analysis comes into play, guys. This is where traders and investors will take a look. Now, this is not the only thing that they look at. Volume and things come into play as well. But if I'm looking at a stock, a good time to buy Apple would have been here in this area for the run up. Another good time to buy would have been here for the run up. Even if we're looking in the past here, another good time to buy would have been here when it broke this resistance and turned into support and it had a run up. So these are levels where we would be buying. Now, where do you get out? Where do you sell? At levels of resistance. So we're looking up here. It couldn't hold, so let's go ahead and get out. It couldn't even reach that level the next time it tried. So another place, if you did take a trade around here for the run up from like 150 something up here to 177, it's a good 20 some dollars profit per share. But you also see that it never was able to break this high. So you want to probably look to get out here. Same thing here now, because right now we're in a short-term lower trend. I'm going to draw another trend line from the high back this way. And as you can see, it's kind of making, at this point, lower highs at the moment. So you want to actually just pay attention to where there are levels, like I said, where buyers are stepping in for your buying opportunities, and where sellers are stepping in, you want to look for selling opportunities. And remember, we saw this on the candlestick video, guys. This is a doji candle, which indicates reversal. After it took this several weeks of a bullish run, it decided it needed to cool off, and it dropped back down and found some type of support. So I just wanted to make a quick video to discuss what support and resistance is so that you guys have a better understanding of places where traders and investors will enter and exit a stock based on those certain key price levels. Now you can do this on any time frame. You can do this on the daily time frame. You can do this on a 4 hour, 1 hour, what have you. And a lot of times, if you're doing it right, you'll see that on the lower time frames, your trend lines are being respected. And so this is a hourly chart. And as you can see, the trend lines that I drew are being respected. So up here, we can see on this short time frame, it's already starting to form a level of support here. And we can see that because it's respecting this line after taking a huge run up. We can also see that it's respecting the trend line that I drew for the uptrend, and kind of like it bounces off. Like I said, stocks come up, they come down, they come up, they come down, but they find levels of support. Okay, so even on the 15-minute chart, we can look at it and we can see that it's also respecting my lines here. It just is giving you more detail because we're in a shorter time frame. So I hope this helps. If you guys have any questions about anything that was discussed today, please leave a comment. If you also want to get free stocks and sign up for WeBull, I'm going to actually pin my link in the comments so that you guys can use my link to get free stocks when you sign up for WeBull. Who doesn't like free money? And just make sure that you subscribe and like and share. And I will see you all in the next video.